Action points: residing in a community with more obesity was associated with higher BMI, overweight, and/or obesity in parents and children, according to a study of military families who tend to be located in specific communities not of their own choice, since there was no evidence to support self-selection or shared environment as explanations for this association. The findings suggest the presence of social contagion in obesity. Residing in a community with more obesity may be a risk factor for its individual residents to become overweight or obese, a new study reported. For each increment of 1% in a county's obesity rate, a parent's odds of being obese increased 5%, adjusted OR 1.05, 95% C 1.02 to 1.08, according to Ashley Data, Ph.D., senior economist at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and Nancy Nicosia, Ph.D., of the RAND Corporation in Boston. Parents also carried a body mass index value 0.08 points higher, 95% C 0.02 to 0.13 for each 1% increment in a county's obesity rate, the researchers indicated in JAMA Pediatrics. Similar findings were reported for children, where a 1% higher county obesity rate was linked to an increased risk of overweight or obesity AOR 1.04, 95% C 1.01 to 1.06, and a higher BMI Z score 0.01, 95% C 0.003 to 0.02. We wanted to understand what explains the fact that there are big geographic clusters of obese communities in the U.S., explained Data in an email to MedPage Today. Disentangling these explanations has been a challenging task for researchers in the past, and yet is important for designing policies to address obesity. Our study sought to take on that challenge. It is novel because it studies military families who are located in specific communities not of their own choice but to serve the military's needs. Since these communities vary in terms of their rates of obesity, we were able to study whether living in communities with higher obesity increases these families' own risk of being overweight or obese. The natural experiment included 1,519 families of enlisted Army personnel, 1,314 adults and 1,111 children, ages 12 to 13, from 38 U.S.-based military installations, who participated in the military teenagers' environments, exercise, and nutrition study. Rates of obesity for each corresponding county were drawn from the 2013 and 2014 County Health Rankings data. To calculate BMI, self-reported anthropometric measures were collected from families participating in the study. The majority of parents included in the analysis were either overweight 48% or obese 27.1%, while 27.5% of all children assessed fell into one of those two categories. Regarding the relationships found between community and familial obesity rates, Data noted, this pattern was stronger among families living outside the base in the civilian community than among families living on the base, and was stronger among families who had lived in the community longer than families who recently moved to that community. These findings remained even after we accounted for the shared county and neighborhood environments. Moreover, since military families are located in specific communities not of their own choice but to serve the military's needs, our findings are also unlikely to be explained by the tendency of people with similar interests, backgrounds to locate in similar communities. Therefore, we think that social contagion may be a likely explanation, she added. In an accompanying editorial, Leonard H. Epstein, Ph.D., and Xiaozhong Wen, M.D., Ph.D., both of the University at Buffalo in New York, praised the researchers' study design and highlighted the important clinical and public health implications of the findings. The idea of obesity being contagious provides a very useful analogy for pediatricians to recognize the association of the social environment with obesity through social networks and/or social norms. It provides a stimulus to action to learn how to deactivate the virus, preventing transmission to future generations, wrote Epstein and Wen. They suggested potential strategies for addressing this issue, including family-based behavioral treatments, which are recommended by the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, as well as having pediatricians take an active role in order to develop a referral network of experts in treating obesity in parents. In regards to continued research, Data also told MedPage Today she and Nicosia are continuing to follow these families and are collecting information from them on social norms related to obesity so we can try to test for social contagion more explicitly in our own future research. The study was funded by the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. None of the study authors reported any relevant conflicts of interest. Epstein reported serving as a consultant to and having equity in Kerbo. The 22nd of January 2018, 13 hours 30 minutes and 0 seconds 0500.